creatives. Well, welcome to another tutorial, and as you can see, we're going to be doing these really cute bookmarks, and I'm really going to be working and focusing on the botanical ones, but I did show you some other illustrations that I did as well. So let's get started. Where it's going to be a fun, fast, easy kind of gift that you can make for someone, or you can read while we're still waiting on nicer, warm spring days to come. So let's put this away. We'll get right back to it in just a moment. But before we do that, I wanted to show you just kind of how we lay out the whole design for the bookmarks, for the botanicals. So this is what we're going for, this kind of look, and it's the easiest thing really in the world. And what I wanted to show you is that with your pencil, and I'm using an HB graphite. If you can get these, it's really good because they're so much easier to erase because the graphite is so light. But what you want to do is just make some random curves in your bookmark. And I'm taping off, obviously, what I'm going to be doing on watercolor paper, but I'm just doing this on drawing paper just to show you what we're going to do. So just make some random shapes that look like leaf shapes or stems in this case, and then I like to have them come off from the side and just like maybe even overlap a little bit. It's up to you. You can always erase if you don't like something, but basically that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to come up with these shapes. I don't know, hopefully you can see that, and if you can, then you'll understand that that's what's going to lead us to our next step, which will be actually working on our design. Our next step we're going to be doing is, first of all, I use some washi tape and I'm taping off the area to outline my bookmarks. You don't have to write it out or draw out the box. You just tape it how you want it to look. And I want a border on mine, so I made room for a border. And then, as you can see, I've partially done the design on this side. This one's completely done. But I wanted to just go over how to actually just make the leaves themselves or these little branches. And really, it's just taking a Micron. I'm taking a Micron 0.03. You can use whatever size is comfortable. 0.05 is nice as well. And I'm going to follow my pencil marks. Really, I'm just basically going to be tracing out what I just drew. And it's probably easier to do it this way so I don't make mistakes like I just did. But that's okay because I'll just fix it. But I'm going to go ahead and draw these out. And these leaf shapes I have for this one, I'm just doing a start at the bottom, meet at the top. And then on this particular, like I said, leaf shape, I'm going to be, the leaves are going to be alternating. So one on one side and then one on the other. And so you're starting at the bottom, meeting at the top, so you get that nice sharp leaf shape, which I didn't do with my pencil, but I'm doing now with my pen. And then notice it's okay to move your drawing around. It really helps, and helps to keep your hand steady, and it really works for, when you're doing any kind of drawing actually. Okay, so I'm going to get this shape done, and then all I'm going to do on this one, basically, after I get this all in, is I'm just going to be adding a line right down the middle to make the finish off the leaf. It's as easy as that. So super simple. And so this one, I made a line going all the way from the bottom to the top, and you can curve them over to one side, like see, slightly arching them, just to give the leaf kind of a shape or a feel to it, or you can go right in the middle, however you want. It just helps to give the idea of it having a curve to it and having not just a flat shape. But that's it for that one. See, that was super easy. And then I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to get right into our watercolors. And for this one, I'm doing the same thing. Start at the bottom, meet at the top. But I'm going to make the leaves on opposing leaves, so they're going to be right opposite of each other. So one on that side, and there's one right on this side. That's as simple as it is. It's very easy. It's almost like a fern shape. And then I'm going on this one, instead of putting leaves or a line right in the middle all the way down, I'm going to just put a line right here at the very bottom, okay, just to give an idea of a leaf line, and that's it for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and then we're going to get right into the watercolors. Here we go now with the watercolor. I'm mixing up my colors, and for this I mixed up a warm kind of green, grass green, spring green, however you want to look at it, and I mixed up a bluer green. I like the warm and the cool tones, so I'm using those two for this one. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just, first of all, just get my whole bookmark wet. I'm just going to get the paper all nice and wet. Okay, because we're going to do a wet on wet technique here, and you don't want it sopping wet, but just enough. And that's what's amazing about these microns, is they resist the water. I absolutely love that. So I'm going to take this warm green and I'm going to just kind of scrub it all over the bookmark here. Picture, see how easy this is. So easy. And I'm going to focus on getting color on the edges. That's like a big deal right there, is get the color on the edges. Oh, and let you know too, I did erase all the pencil lines before I did this part. So I think there's a few that are left in there by accident, but the main thing is make sure you do erase all your pencil marks before you put the watercolor in. So hopefully I caught you in time with that. Okay, and I like how the color, there's like color on the edge, but it's lighter kind of in the middle. But we're just going to kind of keep adding those layers, and now we're going to go in with that dark, much darker bluish green, turquoisey kind of color, and we're just going to kind of lay in color. This is the fun part, because you can really just put it wherever you want and let this paper just do all the work. Now this is a 140-pound paper. It's not 100% cotton, but it's by Arteza. And I'm really liking it, I have to admit. I'm really enjoying this paper, and it's not the best paper by any means in the world, I wouldn't suggest, but for what we're doing and for just like creating and practicing, this is like a super great paper to start with. But you can get some really decent 140-pound papers at the craft store. I know Michael's has them, and so just check them out. Because they all will really affect the kind of techniques you can do. And so just so you know, it's not always a technique. Sometimes it's just the paper is not doing what we want it to do. So basically we're just going to keep doing that, and I'm going to add a little bit of yellow right here just to add a little bit of a different tone, which it's kind of already like that. And then I'm going to go back in with some straight grass green. And I'm going to just, oops, I didn't mean to do that, but that's okay. The nice thing about this kind of painting or artwork is that it's meant to be super loose. But if you don't want to put all that color on there, see how I'm just picking it up, just pick it right up, and there you go. But I'm going to just kind of paint very, very loosely these little leaves and just create some contrast. You don't have to do this. I kind of like it. So you're kind of painting them, but you're kind of not. But I do like it. I think it's just kind of a different look, and I'm enjoying how that looks. Okay. We're going to let that sit, and then I'll show you the next layer. Now you can leave it right here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit more this strong green, bluish kind of color. And you could even just go in straight with the turquoise or just a really, really dark green. It just depends on what color you want to use. But I want to keep kind of layering these colors until I get really just kind of like the intensity that makes me feel happy. I don't know how else to explain it. I think it is good to let it dry in between, give it some breaks. It may not be completely dry, just give it a few seconds to soak in, because what happens, if you haven't noticed, that watercolors do dry, and when they dry, of course they dry. When they dry, they become lighter. So what we're trying to do is, just give them time to absorb and to blend, so we can kind of see what's going on with the paint and how it looks, because it's not going to look this way when we're all done, because it's going to obviously be lighter. So that's why I like to keep going back in and adding more and more layers of paint. And I think this is a really good little, I don't want to say craft, but just kind of a little practice and you're making something cool anyway, like something you can give away. But I think it's a really good way to practice these wet on wet techniques and just to kind of experiment with your paper and to see what it does for you. So I'm going to pull some of this up, and you can do that again too. Feel free to go back in and soften up those. If there's any harsh edges with the watercolor, go back and soften those up, because you can do that. I mean, it's perfectly okay to do it. You can either take a wet brush and do it. You can do it like this. It does take quite a bit of pigment off, but it's definitely doable. What I'm doing now is I'm just adding my last layers, and I'm just going back in and I'm just hitting, especially on the border. I really, really like a dark border here. So I'm just coming in with some very, very dark, this is almost a blue, this is a blue, I think, some kind of like turquoise. I have a different kind of palette. So just experiment with your palette, whatever that you're using for your watercolors, and just kind of, you can make a color that you like. I'm kind of just taking the actual pigment itself, and I'm just, you know, I mean, like I'm going in almost straight with it. I'm not adding a whole lot of water because I like the looks of it. But we're gonna just add a little bit more water, spread out some of that color so there's not any harsh edges. That's really important, is to not have a harsh line, unless that's the look that you're going for. But the nice thing about watercolor is I mean, you don't have to have those rigid lines. You really want that soft look. So you can also take a little bit of a paper towel, or what's even better is a Kleenex, because it just doesn't leave as many marks, I think, in your paper, and you can work with that. But try to really kind of create texture right now. This is the time to just try to create all kinds of interesting texture with your painting. You know, it's amazing. This is almost done. This is super close to being done, but while it's drying, I'm just going to kind of give this one over here a wash of yellow. I just figured, you know, let's just get a little bit done in here, and I'm just scrubbing with the side of my brush. I'm using, I think, an 8, yeah, Princeton Select number 8, and it's a round brush. That's all I'm using for watercolor, and I'm just coming in and just, like I said, giving it a nice little scrub, just kind of getting in there. I'm going to, on this one, I like to kind of paint the individual elements differently, so, but I don't care if it overlaps. It's totally fine. This is just about just creating kind of a really cool effect with the watercolor paint. So I'm just gonna kind of come in and pull some out, just kind of create some texture while I can with this paint. And then I'm going to just come in, and then while this paint is still fairly wet, I'm going to come in with some pure pigment and, yep, add some yellow around the borders. My favorite. I love, like I said, that saturated color along the edges. Okay, and then I'm just kind of randomly doing this. Of course, like I said, if you don't like it, you can always do something else. You can always do something different. Last thing that we're going to do before we actually take this tape off, the washi tape off, is we're going to just take a Micron, which is the same one you've used before, and a white gel pen. Now, you don't have to do these steps, but I really think it just adds something very, I don't know, just kind of fun. And because the Microns have a round tip at the end, all you have to do is just go straight down, and I just like to add some little random dots or spatters. It looks like kind of spatters, and then just put them just all over your little piece. Think about like how if you were to to take a brush, which you could also do as well. You could take a toothbrush, an old toothbrush obviously, and just flick white gouache or black gouache or paint. You could do that randomly over it, but I'm just going to do it with the Micron, much easier and much faster. So really this has not taken us very long. The longest that this project really should take is drawing your illustration, whatever it is that you're going to draw, and then cleaning up. And so you just do some random ones. You could do, I did more than I did on this one, but then I'm going to take my white gel pen and just do the same, just hit some random marks as well with it. And then I'm going to take the tape off, and then we'll see what that looks like next. Lastly, what we're going to do is just take this tape off, and this is always the most fun part for me at least. So just peeling back your washi tape, and remember you can always fix or tweak anything that you want to, and especially like you have like a run like that. I need the tape lifted off there. I'll just go back in with some white acrylic paint probably, because I want to keep a white border on these, and I'm going to cut them down with any kind of paper cutter. I would suggest using that if you decide that you want to get into stationery. It's worth investing in a paper cutter because it's just going to give you a really clean cut and it's going to look great. So there is our pieces, and as you can see, these are a little bit more vibrant than these, but some of it is just because they're still needing to dry. I'm sorry about the sun in the way there, but anyway, I'm not going to complain about the sunshine because I'm happy about it. But that's it. That's our art project, and just make a hole at the top, put a little ribbon through, write your name, of course, and the date. Make sure you put that always in your art, and give it to someone else or enjoy it yourself with a good book. But that's it, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, just remember, you are amazing and creative, and I will see you next time. Bye now. Take care.